Hello, everyone. Welcome to Do What You Want, the thrill of variety streaming. Welcome on in. I'm one of your hosts, Project Ruby here. Pronouns they, them, and of course, I'm a variety streamer. Just to preface the intros, nobody's allowed to say they're a variety streamer. It's we are. Everyone already knows this. So when we do our intros, we're gonna specify what exactly we do on our streams. Joining me, of course, is the lovely Passions Planet, my wonderful co-host who we're doing actually a little panel series. So tomorrow you're actually going to be able to see the second panel that we put together, but more on that tomorrow. But Miss Passion, hello, it's good to see you.
Hi, hi. I'm Passion, otherwise known as Passion's Planet. I'm a trans. You found the right variety. Random streamer who plays a lot of like arcade stuff.
Everyone's gonna get creative with their words now. Great.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't that creative, but yeah, I'm a Y2K streamer. Do a lot of events, kind of like drag-based stuff, a lot of DJ things. And I dip my toes into a whole lot of things whenever I can. I keep creative. So yeah.
Yes, we love to see it. Joining us is the lovely Cypher. Hello.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you so much for joining our panel. So, yeah, what can you say about yourself that doesn't include the term variety streamer?
I feel like we need a swear jar, but for the word variety. I know. Just here's $5 right now. I do gaming. I do creative. I make and paint dice. I paint minis. I've gotten back into 3D printing, and I also do some TTRPG content. And on rare occasions, I just get on stream and start chatting and seeing what's going on that day.
Always the best type of stream. Just like, I want to stream, I don't know what, and then you just show up and you're like, well, I am a variety streamer already. You know what? Everyone sub gift. Every time you hear the term variety, I want to see a sub gift go off in the chat. Variety. No, I'm kidding. Well, speaking of variety streamers, of course, we have yet another one lovely streamer here. Hi, Brian. Hello.
Oh, hi. I wasn't sure what order we were going in.
Me neither.
Let's see, yes. I am an eclectic, mercurial, free-spirited, assorted streamer. I do like cozy sim games, indie games. I love shooters. I love food and drink, doing stuff from my kitchen. Sometimes just chatting. Sometimes putting together Legos and losing half of them under my couch. All kinds of things. My pronouns are he, they, and I thought I had something else to say and I don't. So without the word variety, I am thrown. I'm like,
what do I say? Who am I? I find it very interesting that you avoided the term variety now that we've established that I'm getting a sub every time. But yep.
I'm just gonna no.
I get it. Always sabotaging the small streamers.
Check my contract, darling. Just check my contract.
Oh God. Okay. Now I'm scared. Anyway, hi Dona.
Hi, I'm Dona. I'm a big modern warfare streamer. I really just love first-person shooters.
Oh,
lying. Yeah, no, I'm a big compulsive liar. I'm Donut Tart. I'm a variety. Oh my God. That's so hard. You can really rely on it, right? Okay. I'm Donut. I'm a streamer who just does a lot of stuff. Like baking and drag and horror and story games. I do a lot of stuff because I can't keep the attention span of doing the one specific thing. So you tend to find me in drag doing baking or horror, or out of drag doing stories and simulators. Or you just won't find me because I've been on a hiatus. So, there we go. Yeah. Am I frozen?
No, you're not frozen.
Perfect.
You know who's also not frozen? It hasn't been frozen this whole time. Ben, hello.
Hello. I came prepared. I sorted all my tech issues out months ago. I guess I'll just right off the bat. Hello, my name is Ben from Ready Set Ben on Twitch. I'm a content creator and I play a multitude of games, or a plethora of games even. I'm trying to get them fancy words in there, but it's just, yeah, I play whatever I feel like. I don't really have any set preference. We play Dead by Daylight, Stardew Valley, not so much Animal Crossing. That brings back a lot of painful memories and a lot of time wasted. But
Oh.
yeah, I don't know whether I mentioned my pronouns, whether he, they. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. Well, I forgot to mention what I do on my stream. So I'm a variety streamer. Thank you so much. That was my intro. No, I'm kidding.
You.
Now you have to give us each a gift sub.
Oh my god. Oh my god. The call is breaking. Oh my god. So weird. Discord technical difficulties. Oh no.
Okay, look.
No, I play. It's difficult. Wow, I'm struggling. I play a plethora of games. I'm stealing a word there. Yeah, I do retrospectives. I play newer games. I play indies. Whatever I feel like. I feel like that's a fancier way of saying I do whatever I want, kind of thing, which goes with the title of our panel.
Segue.
Oh,
Wonderful.
Solid. That was
We're-
solid.
Professionalism, iconic behavior, truly. And that's just, all of you. I'm not even talking about myself yet. So were you always a variety streamer? Like when you first started on twitch.tv, did you always from the get-go think like, okay, I'm just going to do whatever I want? Or at first, did you have a specific focus in mind? Because for me, I will admit that I saw many of friends, and by many of friends, 2 friends that I had that started content creation before me. And once I befriended them, I was a part of the Minecraft community. And then this was before I even was on Twitch, so this was just YouTube content. I remember having friends that some of them focused more on Minecraft, others focused on The Sims, and I always had like those private talks with them where they were like, I can't do anything else, like nobody watches my non-insert game here. So like I hate it here. Sometimes there will be those days. Don't get me wrong, they loved what they did, in case anyone tracks this and finds out who they were. But they loved what they did. But still to this day, some of them struggle with doing stuff that isn't what they were necessarily known for. So from looking at their experiences, I always made it a point to be like, I'm never focusing on anything ever. Because I don't want to be like stuck in a particular box. So yeah, I was wondering if that was the same for y'all. I guess we can go on a clockwise moment here. So Miss Passion, how was your first experience streaming?
My first stream was from a PS4, doing Monopoly Plus with a group of Discord people. And kind of bringing them into the chat and playing it like that. So that was my first kind of dip into things, and then I was locked to playing only PS4 games for a hot minute until eventually I got a PC. And then once I got that PC, I immediately thought, okay, I want to dip into something that's unique, something like games that I've never played or games that I've always admired. So nostalgia was immediately one that I hit right on the head. And I streamed a lot of like GameCube games, like the original Animal Crossing was one of the first like proper PC streams that I did. And I don't know, it just kind of clung to me that I didn't want to main anything and that I wanted to do whatever I wanted, whatever I felt like doing. And obviously when you're just starting off, you don't have that pressure behind you, you don't have anything kind of holding you back. And from there, I've always kind of kept to that. And then around 2020, I took a hiatus. I focused on my transition and I focused on, just making myself happy. And whenever I did want to return, I always did something that no one else would play, like Desperate Housewives, the video game, or playing The Sims second run. Yeah, honestly, play it if you haven't played it. It's sickening. Think The Sims meets the Desperate Housewives series. It's cute. And then around June, let's say like May 2020, I kind of got into the idea of doing something more DJ based. So I got a bunch of some streamers, even here, involved in a little project of getting people together, introducing their Pride picks. And now every June, that's become its own sort of thing, and it's exaggerated into doing a drag show every year based around a artist celebrated by queer people. So I've always kind of merged both nostalgia drag events and just always done a mishmash of that constantly on stream. And does that answer your question?
I think so. Allegedly it does. No, but I totally get that. Like it's whatever feels genuine to you. Like whenever you watch a stream of Passions, you literally watch her stream and you're like, okay, I get it. Like this is a game that she grew up with, a game that she always wanted to play. Like it always makes sense. Did you have that experience at first, Cypher, when you got into streaming, or did you have any particular thing of like, I need to do this or I need to do that?
It wasn't I need to do anything. I actually started streaming when Dragon Age Inquisition came out because I'm a big BioWare nerd. But then I stuck with single player RPGs mostly because I streamed off my console. Me and the PS4 had many, many years of streaming. And then as I got a PC that could handle streaming, I still stuck with a lot of single player RPGs. But I eventually started doing indie stuff, like Brian streams a lot of indies, a lot of super cozy games. And I had a while where I wanted to get away from just like super big AAA things because everyone always plays the new hot thing when it comes out, and that's not what I want to do. So it was at first, this is what I want to stream, this is what I like Dragon Age, The Witcher, and then transition into more kind of, this is a cute game, I'll try it, why not? And lately I've actually swung more toward creative things. But then everyone's like, hey, this game key, do you want it? I'm like, but I'm trying to paint minis. Let me have my mini painting. But I've got like, hey, this game. And I'm like, but I'm just chilling with my paints. Can I do that? And I've just decided, whenever I decide to stream, it's going to be what I feel like doing, unless there's a lot of money involved. And then maybe it may be a sponsorship.
Listen,
Plenty help.
a way to get streamers to do something is to pay us. So please pay us to do stuff.
I just love eating game keys. Game keys are my favorite meal.
Survive on that.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on that conversation.
Wow. That's the next.
Got my
That's the next
demo.
group chat.
The next, yeah.
That's the next panel for sure. Yeah. Anyway, before we get on a rant, Brian, did you have that kind of experience when you first started? Of basically the same as all three of us, like just do whatever I want kind of thing?
Pretty much. I mean, actually, I believe I mainlined Destiny pretty hard. I was streaming directly from my Xbox, and that was the game that I was playing. And usually to stream, I was coming home right from work and hopping online. And yeah, I really needed the stress release of a first-person shooter to be like, yep, let's go. And then like other people, I ended up moving it to streaming from my computer, and then I had access to a bunch of other different types of games. But yeah, it really did turn into, I can stream whatever I want. Great. I think I'm going to stream the same game for 6 months solid. Because like Tanya, I would get into first-person narrative games, and it's like, you can't just stop. Like, I got to find out what happens. But it was nice to switch off. Even during the week, it was nice to say, okay, well, I'm going to do this on this day and something else on these other days. But yeah, I think I was definitely kind of mired in that, like, I'm just going to play the same thing because this is my time to play video games and I can do whatever I want. It just happened to be playing the same game repeatedly.
That's how it goes sometimes. You're like, no, I'm a variety streamer. I don't focus on one game. Meanwhile, you look at your channel. It's like all the latest VODs are like a particular game. You're like, what? I really like it.
Why are you coming for me like this? This is not, I didn't ask for that.
This is an intervention. That's what
Yeah.
this is.
Oh, no!
Oh,
Yeah.
Sundays at 7:30 Eastern. And your
This is
island.
actually, yeah.
Leave my Animal Crossing island out of this.
Look,
Okay, we will.
You're the one with the creepy spiders in the basement.
Ooh. Well, what would you have to say for yourself on that?
Oh, I changed my basement. Now it's just cursed.
Like a true variety streamer, even your decoration changes in Animal Crossing. So, Donna, when you started streaming, did you always think that you were going to include baking in it? Or when you first got started, you were like, oh, this is a platform for gaming and gaming only, so I can't do anything else, right?
Well, I don't know about the baking, but I've always been into Modern Warfare games, and I always thought, no kidding. No, yeah, baking
Anyway.
Girl.
I can go. I'm sorry. So
You got a CS:GO?
I got a CS:GO to the polls. Okay, so basically, my my mindset going into Twitch was that I've always had the profile. I used to play games like literally a decade ago, and I had so little time to myself because I was in like college and work and just so much stuff. Busy being really rich all the time, and I didn't have time to practice like makeup, my baking, games, streaming, drag, everything. So like the little time I did have, I'm like, I'm gonna put all of this together, brand it under one big name, and like Donut Tart, the name and everything was all planned really far in advance. Where I was like, I'm gonna go onto Twitch and I'm gonna show exactly this. And what exactly this was being in drag and playing horror games because that was unique at the time for every drag queen on Twitch. But the intention was always to get into baking, but getting there was just so much harder. And also building an audience on variety is like so difficult, like so difficult. And I don't know if I'm skipping questions or hopping like stones here if there's the correct words. But I kind of dipped into baking when I could and tried to dip into other games if I could. But I found for my first like year of streaming, I had to do drag and I had to do horror if I wanted to keep my viewership at all. And it wasn't until I did the Twitch drag development program where I like hit good numbers that I realized I'm not enjoying spending so much time getting into drag, so much money spent on games because I didn't understand how to get keys at the time. And just spending so much time and effort, like just trying to do this, but I ended up realizing I don't care. I just want to enjoy these games. And if people enjoy watching them with me, I feel like that group of people that I can carry along through all of the trash I play is more worth it than sticking to this one game that I'm not happy doing or one content I'm not happy doing. So that's how it happened.
Yeah, for sure. Not that I listened to your answer because you were going to get it out from the podcast because of the reference that you made to Modern Warfare. But
CS:GO, actually, is what I prefer to say now. Thank you. I've changed as a streamer. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, of course. So Ben, what do you do? Or what did you do at first?
I just got asked to come here, and then I just no. Well, you know, without like trauma sharing or anything, the only reason I played Final Fantasy 14 for so long, so I was stuck in one particular video game, started on the PS4, streamed on a really old PC, like the whole pass-through thing, and it was months and months and months of being in a community where you know it's an underrepresented community, and it gets really lonely there. You know, and it's still very much the same thing today. And I think it was about 2 years I was streaming Final Fantasy 14, and I was majorly unhappy because I had the same group of friends, and we weren't really doing anything. We sort of plateaued. And then Animal Crossing came along, and I ended up spending a year in that. A year in that. And then I got burnt out. And now I've got this beautiful island that's just sitting there. Like, I don't think I've touched my Switch in a year. And then because I was burnt out, I was like, I need to do something else. I'm just not happy what I'm doing. So I, put the feelers out with my community. I was like, all right, I'm going to start playing other games. What is it that you're interested in? Then I really didn't care what they were interested in because it was about what I liked. So we started playing like Dead by Daylight, Forewarned, all these scary games, and then story games. I really, really got into like story narrative, like Life is Strange. And then before you knew it, it was like, do you know what? I'm not going to have a set sort of genre for what this channel is. The vibes are all there, and I hate using the word vibes, but like the atmosphere is there. We all get along, It doesn't matter what we're playing. We'll enjoy it as long as we're having a good time together. I know it sounds really corny, but that's literally what my streams have become. So I am technically what we call can I say the word? A variety streamer. But it's more about the conversation now, and the laughs and everything that goes along with with being a V streamer. Yeah.
A VTuber.
Yeah.
A V streamer? V streamer.
No, we're all going to be VTubers now. That's
Yes.
Variety.
I'm not really here. This is an avatar. It's really expensive.
Yeah.
These rigs this is why we need to get paid, because these rigs are not cheap.
We actually have 6 other people operating our rigs behind the scenes. So yeah, you don't
I'm on strings.
Please.
You're on something. Okay.
Let's have
You
that
know,
conversation.
oh, look at the time. I gotta go.
It's been sweet. Thank you.
No, but Donna did talk briefly about how being a variety streamer, and I feel like everyone has heard this at some point from, the advice content creators. I don't want to use the words that they usually use to describe themselves, but oftentimes you hear this like rumbling of like, oh, variety streaming is like streaming in hard mode, or like you need to establish a specific brand or else you won't make it in the streaming industry. And unfortunately, I must admit that sometimes I let that get to me, and not that I changed what I did for my content, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna grow. I'm gonna get stuck forever. But did that kind of ever impact you in your decision making, as far as like, maybe you considered not being a variety streamer for a while, or maybe you tried focusing on something? Ben kind of touched on this briefly about like, streaming 14 for a while and then Animal Crossing for a while and then getting burned out. But did anyone else kind of have those moments where you considered or even went that far as becoming one particular type of streamer?
I think that for me was. Oh, so is this question for Donna? Because I'm just jumping in here.
It's for whomever.
Wow.
The burnout hits like massively hard, but then at one point there's this like huge misconception with variety streaming. That you to be successful on Twitch, you need to be really good at one game, but then you realize when you leave that community or that area that all them views, they do go with it, because there's people that hardcore watch Animal Crossing, Final Fantasy, Warzone, or whatever it is. There's people that only watch those games, and it hurts. It really knocks the wind out of you when you see a bunch of your numbers or analytics go away. You have to really sort of take yourself away from all of that. Like, I don't look at anything. I don't open any analytics anymore. I don't want to know my sub count. I don't want to know how many people are there. Only when told. And even it still makes me feel uncomfortable. I think for me, there was a moment that I did consider going back to Animal Crossing, because it felt like chat was quiet, but then they all just come out of lurk. They're still there. They're just lurking because they like listening. It's a strange one. It's very, very difficult though. There is a massive problem with the way that variety is viewed. Is it the problem that you're playing too many games, or are you just not entertaining? I'm sorry.
No, you're absolutely right with that. You mentioned earlier, you talked about vibes, and I'm like, that's literally it. Once you realize there's that moment where you do think, okay, I really need to play the new hotness, whatever game is out, or I need to go and look and see what's the most popular game being played on Twitch right now. But then the more you start to do what you want, you realize that people, they are there for the game, or they might be there because you're going to play a new game, but they're really there for you, and they're there for the community and the chat that you've built. So really it is about you. But as you say, people who don't believe that, they just aren't very entertaining. I'm going to say it. Okay. Like, you play one game forever and eventually you run out of stuff to do and you're really good at it, but it's just you quietly sitting in your room getting headshots and everybody's posting emotes to the chat the entire time. And that's a place that I really want to be.
Donna's offended. Look.
Okay. They're called free.
Yeah, I'm coming for the Warzone streamer right now. Yeah.
Wow. My PC couldn't even run it, but I still was the best number one.
The best number one.
I'm sitting here like, let me hide my Division stats, Tam.
See, Division was
Oh, goodness,
interesting.
we all
You
don't want
made
to
me
talk
buy
about
that game. You made me buy that game.
Which
Not
was Division?
actually, but I bought it.
But
Is this
Donna
the
was
Tom
talking. I'm
Clancy
sorry. Yes.
Is this Tom
yes.
Clancy Division? I love. Okay, I do love that game, but I don't play them on stream because I become a different person.
That's okay. So does Brian.
It's
Um,
true.
lie?
We get a little aggressive when we play Tom Clancy's The Division, because you got to say the whole thing. Yeah, I wish it kept going, because that's something that is fun to play with like co-op on stream. But yeah, that does make me aggressive. I just like setting enemies on fire. Is that so wrong?
What was the question? What was the question? I wanted to say something and then I forgot what the question was. So.
And I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, I talked about games, shooting games. I'll drop that. I'm sorry.
Talking about people who say that who
Variety is
are against
recommended.
the advice that you shouldn't be a variety streamer.
And if
So-
you ever kept like changed your strategy as far as like, oh, maybe I should focus on a thing or maybe whatever. And you kind of touched
has
on it a little
been-
bit.
It's been like my running theme for as long as I've been streaming, because I think when I started out streaming, I would stream maybe once or twice a week, and I do like drag and horror and things like that. And then I tried to get baking involved, but time, resources, all that, it just took a lot out of me. And although I had like a lot more time during lockdown, after the kind of hype and I guess what we call the summer drop off, where a lot of people kind of just shift, it starts to make you stop a second and go, what am I doing wrong? So you start to reevaluate all your content. You might start taking drastic decisions. What I've kind of learned over the course of streaming over the last couple of years is that being a variety streamer is the biggest ebb and flow ever. Because I have friends who are DBD streamers. They might be Animal Crossing streamers, Stardew streamers, and their numbers will always kind of stay there or fluctuate a bit, but you'll always know what you're going to see when you get there. And unfortunately, I've never had that game. And when I did, it would be something like baking in drag, horror games in drag, and just the time and work that goes into that alone, I can't sit down and just start a stream like that. So it was just such a difficult thing to see, other people being able to stick to one game. I can't stick to it mentally. I get sick of things very fast. I have to constantly change it up. So it was kind of hard always having to see numbers go up and down, up and down. And when they're up, it feels great, but it feels like minutes. And when you're down, you really feel down, and you start to reevaluate your art, your channel, your content, oh my God, that is the biggest part. Because when you sit there and you think, well, if they're here for me and they're not here, then what am I doing wrong? And it really screws you up a bit. Because I guess the thing that viewers don't realize is that when you put yourself in front of a camera, you're being vulnerable from the get-go. And then you're sitting there feeling insecure. And I don't have my numbers out. I don't look at my analytics. I don't look at anything, because I don't want to just open on stream and be like, I'm insecure. Because once I get down that route, stream's over. I can't do it anymore. Now I just kind of say, I'm playing these couple games. If you want to stop by, great. And I notice some people will only come for drag baking. Some people have never even seen me in drag somehow. I guess I've been gone. But I just stick to it, and I know that I will see the same people over and over. And although the ebbs and flows are so hard, and although growing is so much slower, I say I feel because I don't know for certain, it feels like a much steeper climb. I know that at the end of the day, I can play those other games. And I have friends say to me, I'm so jealous how you can play this game, that game. And I'm like, you say that, but you have no idea like the panic and the stress it caused. But I love it. Oh, I love it. It's so much fun, So, yeah.
I 100% get that. Like every time I see someone with that kind of conversation of like, oh, I wish I could do that, I'm like, you can? Like you just have to be willing to take the L in a way, but even though it's not, because in a way it's like,
What does that mean, by the way, L? I've
like
heard it.
you're like losing.
Lose.
Yeah, take the
I've
lesson.
been seeing it all over Twitter and TikTok, and I've never understood it. Thank you.
That's a
Sorry.
major Aldona.
Wow.
Still don't really get it, but I'll just take it.
Educational content right here.
For me, I've never really gone after just one game. Like for a while, like when I'm playing Dragon Age, I'll play Dragon Age and then get through it. But at this point, it's comfort food because I've played it so much. And same with The Witcher. But I've been in chats where someone is known for a game. Like people who play The Sims, they're only known for The Sims. And if they branch out, there are people that come in and go, but when you playing The Sims again, though? Why aren't you playing The Sims? Why aren't you playing, Rainbow Six? Why aren't you playing Tarkov? And it's like, it's I feel like it's part of that weird parasocial thing of people came and found you for whatever content you were doing. It's mainly your content. And then this idea that you now owe the community to only do that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
like, actually, I don't. All I gotta do personally is stay black and die at some point. That's all I gotta do.
I'm putting out a t-shirt
You never
I'm only
heard
about the
that?
stable. I'm only about the stay black part. I refuse to do the other part.
I said eventually. At some point, we all got to pay that price. But or like I've seen it like when Brian does Animal Crossing. I'm sure if you woke up on a Sunday and didn't play it, people would wonder if you were a pod person.
It's funny since we just had a bunch of demos and indie showcases. I actually did play something different this past Sunday, right before Animal Crossing, and I was terrified when I hit start that people were going to come in chat and say, "Why aren't you playing Animal Crossing?" I had so many tweets. I primed my Discord. I basically let all my anxiety out about it before starting this other game, and then after it, we went back to Animal Crossing. But yeah, that is that like fear of I played this one game on Sundays for the past 2 years, and now I want to play something a little different, and I hope to goodness that everybody is okay with that.
And if they're not, though, at the end of the day, though, for all of us as dirty word streamer,
Not dirty word.
Gamer word.
Dirty streamer.
Not a gamer word.
no.
Mm.
But it's like, but at the end of the day, we're the ones that are doing production, streaming. We're our own social media. Very few people can afford to pay a producer, what have you. If I wake up and I decide I'm going to sit here and assemble a Lego for 12 hours, and that's not your jam, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
And Lego's expensive.
It is, but it's like if I bought this Lego and I decide to share my joy of assembling this Lego, and people come in and like, "Why are you playing with Legos? Those are for kids." And it's like, then I'm a kid, you can leave. I'm enjoying myself.
But also give me money.
Please.
I mean, more.
But my
This Lego
time.
set was actually expensive, so please give me
Well, like one huge thing that I tell myself, and it's like an old saying. I don't even know where I heard it from, but like for the whole word that we shall not say, it's like a ship in the harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are for. And I cannot and will never go back to just playing one game. I will constantly have that. I'm not here to just play Final Fantasy and do one thing. I'm not here to just play Animal Crossing. I will burn out and I will disappear from the internet. And I was getting to that point. Now I'm doing everything and I'm loving it because I've got a variety of clips. Brands are like, "Hey, we saw you did horror that week and then you did something else this week. Here's a bunch of money. Would you like to play this game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Like, things happen when you don't just focus on one particular area, and it's not like that all the time. I know that there's all these esports teams and all this other stuff, and they're good at that, but they can't deviate without taking a hit, and they will feel it because that's a lot of revenue. Whereas I can get an activation because I've happened to play something in the last month, and it really has changed everything for me. And I know because I was quoted to by someone we won't talk about a couple of weeks ago that my analytics are not where they used to be. I'm aware of that now, but I'm getting more work than ever since moving away from Animal Crossing. So, cheers.
Damn.
Variety ain't that bad. Money can
Yeah.
come from other places.
I just want to add to what Cypher said about people kind of controlling the content too, because I remember when I was a twink, heaven forbid, and I was playing a lot of Just Dance, there was a lot of people in my community that would just control that shit so much. If I wasn't wearing a certain pair of shorts, it was going that far. Like, they were
Oh.
completely maneuvering like whatever I wore, how I was dressed, how I was presenting myself, if I had my green screen up. Because I had a member of the community back then who paid for part of a green screen and felt like they owned that, and I owed it to them for streaming with it. And since I disassociated from playing Just Dance, I used to do it like a weekly thing, sometimes twice a week. I have never felt better. And I can't even see myself going back to that because it was such like a toxic environment. I had obviously like I identify as a woman now, but back then there was a lot of like it was very weird and strange behavior about how feminine I was too, and people were obsessed with doing like slay commands, which was to like applaud me for being feminine. Just very strange behavior, and it's little things like that that have really like shifted me away from like maining games because I've never really liked the behavior associated with some. And since I have kind of droned in on doing a lot of Y2K and a lot of like PS2, GameCube stuff, I've only really had positive experiences when new people have come in and they've been like, "I used to play this. Oh, I love this. Oh, I found you from the retro thing. I found you from this." And it's a lot of people who follow categories and stuff like that. But when I did mean certain games, there was an easy push away from that just by the treatment that I got.
And that's why I always wanted to be a variety streamer, because I would see constantly, like, if a friend of mine streamed a game that wasn't like Minecraft, for example, there would be like dozens of comments that would be like, "Where's Minecraft? Are you not doing it today? Oh, did you do it already? Are you doing it later?" Like, it was always like such a thing, to the point where like there's people that I'm sure we all know, and by me saying this, everyone's probably going to think of one person in their lives that does this, of like people who have to do all those mental, or feel like they have to do all those mental gymnastics of like, okay, so I want to play this game really badly, but first I'm going to start with like Dead by Daylight, and then I'm gonna stream that for like 2 hours, and then I'm gonna stream the game I actually want to play for like a couple of hours, and then I'll go back to Dead by Daylight so that my average that day evens out. And I use Dead by Daylight as an example, but I'm sure every single one of us thought of like at least one person who does that for a probably a different game. Each of us probably knows someone who does that for a different game.
Yeah.
So and that's not to like talk negatively about them. It's the way that their community has made them feel, that they shouldn't do anything else, because in an industry where numbers are made to be such a big deal, you a lot of the times get sucked into that and think like, oh, that is a big deal, maybe I should focus on that more. And that's a battle that I struggle all the time, of like, there are times where you can't tell me nothing. I could have like 2 viewers and I'm like, I'm doing whatever I want, I'm like doing great, sweetie. And then there are times where I'm like, well, I don't want to have 2 viewers on that stream just because I'm not playing a popular game. So like there are times where you kind of like get inside of your own head, but then like, and this is not like, not to sound like whatever, but like all of us here have gotten opportunities, not specifically because of numbers that we have necessarily, but because of what we do, the energy that we bring, and what skill sets we have. And that's something that I try to tell people all the time when people are like, oh, I'm trying to get to affiliate, or I'm trying to do this and that. And I'm like, y'all, numbers aren't real. Like every single opportunity that I've gotten is because like I said something on Twitter that resonated with people, and then the right person saw it. A lot of it is also luck, being seen by the right person, applying for a thing at the right time, or before a lot of people apply for a thing, or just being the right fit for something, like it's Pride Month. We've all been there, and we've all thought that like, oh, I'm going to apply for that thing because I'm probably going to be the only queer person that they are going to bring. And that's you know what I mean? Like, so that's a lot of like stuff happens. It's not necessarily like your numbers. It's not necessarily anything like that. And honestly, one of the reasons why when I was brainstorming ideas for a panel, and me and Passion kind of went back and forth on this, like it has to be a queer theme because it's Pride and all that stuff. But I was like, no, being a variety streamer is, especially as queer people, is kind of a statement on its own of like, we're being ourselves, we're representing who we are thoroughly, not just by who we are, but by what we do and the games that we play and the things that we do. So do you ever kind of think in that sense of like, oh, I'm representing myself, or like I need to play games that align with certain things that I, value in life, or certain, yeah. I'm like, I don't know what else to say. That.
No.
Should we have a
sign? When I get paid for a game, the game aligns with me liking money. So there's that. I don't know. I have looked for games that do have better representations, just because you're not going to see a lot of people playing those games, and those games don't always get a lot of press. But those I mix in with other types of games, but I've never felt like any obligation or responsibility to do that. Although like when Pride or Black History Month comes up, if someone says, hey, we have this game where the storyline or the protagonist kind of aligns with this cultural heritage month, then yeah, I'm like, okay, I'd love to showcase this. But other than that, I feel like everybody on this call is gonna be like, no, I just play whatever I want to play.
I was going to say I contribute as well. Like, so I will always look for the things that represent me very well. Like, I wouldn't say that like the Quarry, for instance, I wouldn't say that those demonic things are me, but I definitely resonate. I look for things that has representation in it, especially with being Black and queer. I will always pick those first. I will always go towards something that I can just enjoy and but no, I don't just think about that. I gotta remember that yes, it's my channel, but my community is ridiculously diverse. So there might be something in there that fits in with well, most of them, and they might have even I have a channel where they can recommend games, not just for the representation, but and it's usually 9 times out of 10 because of that. Then we end up playing them and we have a great bloody time. Apart from Calico, oh my god, it's a game. Yeah, it's
Calico.
Yeah, Calico, and you're.
Oh, the cat game.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh, that is such a trippy game, though.
You didn't like it.
I loved it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
you put the
thought
cats
way
up, and you're like the baking, where you're just like, I mean, come on, that is so
Wait,
good.
That's not what I was thinking of. I thought it was where you have the cat's view and you're just knocking stuff off.
No,
No.
No, that's a different game.
You're riding on cats. You're baking. You open a cafe. I hated it at first, and then I played it again.
Oh, yeah. So your
Mhm.
aunt is viciously murdered. So you have to take over her cafe. Her cat
That's
cafe,
not how it
and
happens.
that's how I thought it happened. And you have
Every
to
single
basically
game where you have to
refurbish it.
inherit a piece of property or a business, we just assume that the relative was horribly murdered and they're actually
Basically.
buried under the property.
Exactly.
Like-
And you feed the cat, you bake
Oh.
lots of cakes, you're little tiny, you run around, you pick up flour. Oh, it's so cute. And
It's
oh my
adorable.
god, it is my branding to a T. And I cried. I actually genuinely, there's clips of me crying playing it. And I don't cry.
Wow.
So it's a cute game.
Wow, thank you, Donna.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
totally-
what were you saying?
I lost track of the whole conversation.
So I'm done. We were saying the representation within, I personally pick games as well as, or it's not, well, pretty much all the time, anything that has representation for queer, or people like me, people like my community, recommendations through that and whatnot. And that requires me to be a variety streamer because one game I can't even get my skin tones in. So lovely.
Mm,
Sorry for another day.
look, that's all the brown folks getting together and having that conversation. Well, I mean, for me, I have a weird problem, and Brian, I know, has seen this, where I'll be playing a game and I may or may not bring up representation, but let's say fighting games. I actually like fighting games. I grew up with arcades and like the first Street Fighter, first Mortal Kombat, and I remember I was playing Tekken 7, Tekken 6, and I just really wanted to play Nina, go kick people in a cat suit. That was what I wanted. And somebody tried to bring up the discourse TM of, oh, look at those jiggle physics. Why is she in a cat suit? And I'm like, I just want to chill and play a fighting game. And the whole forcing you to be a representative when you're just trying to enjoy yourself. So I think about this when I pick games, but that's not always my main thing because it's my day job. It is what I do for a living. And I don't always want to have the discourse when maybe that day I just want to see some titties jiggle. Who knows?
That part. I was gonna say, like, sometimes we like a
there's
little bit
nothing wrong
of
with
moving.
that.
Like, come on.
Right, but it's like people going, "How could you play this? Look at those like boob physics." And I'm like, "Yes, look at those boob
Yes,
physics."
we are very
Look
much
at
looking
them.
at the look at them. Okay.
Wait, there's a game?
Right, like
I-
what's the Dead or Alive beach ball? I'm like, the only beach balls
Oh
we're
my
staring at are on
gosh.
chests.
I don't know. It's funny because of that, like when I am asked to play a game or when I'm approached about a game, my list of things that I now ask them keeps growing longer and longer because I also dread those moments where you're going to be playing a game and you're going to be vibing and you're going to be enjoying it and someone's going to come in and say, "Oh, but what about this thing?" And I'm just going to be like, "Yeah, I made a command for that and you can go." Like there it is, read it.
Or something that's come up, and I've seen it in other chats. Oh, I played this already. Can I warn you about the thing? Can I warn you about the thing? Or, oh, this thing is
Oh.
coming, and I'm like, can I just? Because I mean, some games now are getting better by giving us content warnings, but it's like now you're forecasting something I'm going to be looking for, but you're also disrupting the stream because for you and whatever this issue is, you just have to make sure everyone knows. And I'm like, let me deal with it when I get to it.
Google is free. We're adults. You'll investigate the game before you come to the stream, but don't tell me or anybody else.
But
Yeah,
as Ben
it's
says, when
always there. It's like
Yeah.
below this. It says people come in and they say, "What is this game? I hope it doesn't have this." And I'm like, I don't. What's that?
Yeah, that's right there.
It's
Sorry, what were you gonna
Warzone.
say? I could shut up.
It's not Warzone. Maybe.
I cut you off, Ryan. What were you gonna say?
Um,
Sorry.
It's no, I think like to the point of representation though, I think we actually end up, because our communities are so diverse, we do tend to be more critical of games that also either have or claim to have diverse representation, or the stories they want to tell touch a lot of different things, because it may affect someone in our community, not just us. So sometimes the representation isn't just about like who's streaming, but it's like, okay, well, I know Tell Me Why was mentioned on this, and I know that I have trans people and trans men, especially in my community, who would be watching it more critically than me as a player. So sometimes you do have to think about it that way as well. And that's where like the discussions come in. It's like, okay, is everybody okay with us playing this game? Or some people are like, I can't hang out for this, which is fine. But that is less likely to stop me playing a game unless I know it does something and handles something just horribly.
My game choices sometimes vary, not necessarily depending on like, oh, I can't play that game because of this thing, or I should play this game because of that thing. If anything, I try to sometimes preface it with like, okay, this game was made in the 90s or early 2000s, so let's talk about it. Because sometimes I feel like people get afraid of like, or sometimes even in the queer community, people are like, oh, I'm not going to play that game because there's transphobic things in there. But like, okay, as a trans non-binary person, I will play that game and I will tell you why the representation is negative. Or because we're not a monolith, I am allowed to think like, no, I actually think that their intention was this instead of that, or here's my interpretation, or or why I think specifically this is problematic, and not necessarily try to speak for the whole community or what have you. So it really depends. And like Cypher said, like a lot of the times we also just want to show up to the stream and not like educate everyone. And like, I'm sure every single one of you have had moments where you were playing like, sorry, Ben, Animal Crossing, and you had someone come in out of nowhere and being like, what is non-binary, or what is, insert your specific identities here. And you have that mental moment of like, do I respond? Do I redirect them to Google? And because sometimes we just want to exist and we just want to be here and do whatever we want and play whatever we want and talk about whatever we want without getting redirected into like, okay, I'm your queer educator of the day, and I'm going to teach you about non-binary people in a palatable way. Like, no, I'm sorry.
Absolutely not. Get to Google. I'm busy. I've got Ireland to decorate at the time.
In the past.
Yeah.
What about you, Passion? Do you have anything to add to this particular vibe? I know you haven't been back to streaming for that long, but and I'm sure you haven't really faced a lot of these issues. Like you said, your community has been really lovely since you came back. But yeah, do you have anything that you want to add about like your game selections and such?
Yeah, just a bit. I haven't had it too much because I've been playing things that are like Rugrats and like licensed movie tie-in stuff, but I've even had a fair few where there's been a little bit of representation that's been pointed out, and I kind of just don't have the time to just get into it. Sometimes I just want to play like Fairly Odd Parents and not think about why Timmy Turner is now dressed up as a girl and overanalyze it. Sometimes I just want to have a little giggle about it. Because as a trans woman, I don't overanalyze it sometimes. I sometimes like praise it, think of it as camp, and I just enjoy it for what it was. Maybe it was piss poor representation at the time, but for some people that might have been their first dip of understanding, that people can wear whatever they want and it can be either humorous or it can be fun. But yeah, there's just been the odd few times playing some licensed games where there's been some questionable behavior, but I just don't want to hone in on it. I don't want to discuss it too heavily. Sometimes we'll have a little conversation for about a minute or two, and then some people will kind of continue on with that as like chat progresses, and they're still kind of honing on it. And I just openly say, I'm just trying to play the game and trying to enjoy it, and I don't want to have that conversation consistently because I'm trying to enjoy a game. But I also do think it's important to play things for representation. I do try to dip into it whenever I can. But it's just knowing when is the right moment to do that for me. And when does the conversation happen? When we're playing something like Tell Me Why, when we're doing The Sims 4, when we're making queer people and doing things like that. That's when I want to have those conversations. That's when I want you to pipe up. I don't need it during Fairly Odd Parents. I don't need it during SpongeBob. You know?
Right. Yeah. Whenever we want to do those themes, or whenever we want to talk about those conversations, we'll hold the space for that. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. That's a thing. People have things to do, and we're all busy, especially during Pride Month, where we all have multiple things going on. But to kind of wrap up this idea of like variety streaming, being queer in the space, and all that stuff, do you have any advice that you would give to anyone who maybe in any of the situations that we mentioned earlier about like feeling pressure to do a particular thing, or maybe they want to get started and they want to do variety or anything of the sort? Do you have any sort of advice that you would give them, or any quick tidbits that you would like to drop some nuggets of knowledge?
Absolutely.
Oh, here we go.
As a variety creator, you have a better opportunity to completely diversify your content, and you have way more exposure than you'll ever realize, because you're dipping into every category. You're not just a one-trick pony that does nothing but high-end content and, memes and dreams. You're reaching out to people. So it doesn't matter where you sit with viewership, where you sit within the directory, just create your own clips. Post them elsewhere. There's literally a button you can click to create a clip, and you can post that, and you never know who you might find. And it's sure that person might come in for just that one particular game, but then they might like you as a person in general and stick around. You've literally got all the tools you need right in front of you. It doesn't matter what category you're in. Clip it, post it, go to bed.
Go to bed.
I wish it were that simple. I really do. That'd be awesome.
Honestly, go to bed is a big one. Honestly, the amount of hours people pump into it without really. Because I think the one thing about variety is that you can't just hop into the same thing, because, well, you can, but what I mean is expecting kind of the same thing to keep going and going and going.
Mm-hmm.
With Twitch, there is such little discovery amongst the platform itself. You have to reach out in different kind of areas, or talk to the streamers, get involved in other things, get involved in events. That kind of helps a lot. But I find that if I ever want to get people to come in for one specific game, one very niche game, you really, really need to outreach into places. Like for me, it was TikTok, personally, because my whole niche of being drag, baking, horror, things like that, most of the people who watch me now are from TikTok and may not watch anyone else. And it's hard to just kind of do your own thing, stay on Twitch, kind of look inwards and not look outwards at all, without finding yourself kind of going in a, what's the word, merry-go-round or something.
Spiral.
Like that. Yeah, spiral. You're running yourself dry, and you're getting yourself like overworked without like. I'm sorry, it is very late. I'm very tired. Work smarter, not harder. There we go.
There it
Stop
is.
everything I said.
There you
Stop
go.
everything I said.
There it
And
is.
also,
No,
go to
that's
bed.
fine.
Go to bed.
100%. I'd probably like piggyback onto what Dona said, in that if you're going to play a lot of different things, and discoverability or numbers or analytics is your concern, you're going to want to leverage other forms of social media to let people know what you're doing and when, and whether that's Twitter, TikTok. If you have a Discord, make sure that you're engaging, or honestly just coming up with a schedule graphic like every week and tweeting out a few hours before you go live, hey, I'm going to play this, and then maybe tag in a developer or tag in like the main game for the account, just so people will, they'll name check you on other. Wow, now I'm losing it, and it's not even that late. They'll name check you on other platforms, and that can help drive people to your Twitch account. But the main thing is just, you don't need a stream coach. You don't need to buy a masterclass. You can just stream games that you enjoy playing, that you connect with, and that will come across to the people who watch you, no matter what those games are.
And also
I
have
needed
fun.
that shade. Thank you.
I feel like having fun is like a
I
crucial
don't know
thing
what
that
you're
is
talking
such
about.
an obvious thing to just say to people. Is just have fun with it.
Mhm.
Don't overthink the decisions that you're making, especially if you're early on. You don't have to overthink, oh, this will bring in folk, this will bring in folk. Yeah, sure, you can think about that. But then, what friends are a part of your community? Who do you have aside of you who's able to just come in, pop in, say hi? Finding your regulars like that, and just appreciating what you have. And also building your community up through Discord, doing movie nights, doing little like 1 hour little tidbits in a voice call. Little things like that can make a crucial difference to communities. I mean, I've only been back since March, and we've been doing the odd movie night. Whenever I've taken a stream off, I get like a bat chat from a couple people who are in my audience, but in such a playful way where I don't feel discouraged whenever I take a day off. You need to find the right people around you to sort of uplift you, start as you're getting into it, and you want to take a day off, okay, go do it, just have fun with it.
They want to see you happy and enjoy yourself. They don't want to
Exactly that part.
yourself.
Yep.
They'll call you out when you're not.
Yes.
Yeah, and to go along with all that is even before you start streaming is think about why do you want to stream? What are you trying to get out of it? And if your first answer is money, I suggest you stop and rethink that. Because I don't know how long everyone calls when streaming, but I'm in year 8. I still can't pay all my bills off streaming. And people need to think about that because a lot of people see, oh, I see this big streamer, they've got hundreds or thousands of CCV. That doesn't mean all those people subscribe. It doesn't mean that you're going to go live and suddenly have hundreds of people. Many of us rarely do. So even before we get into this is what you should play, think about why you want to stream. Is it because you're bored? Is it because you need a new creative outlet? And if you're doing it for the love of what you like doing, like if you like crafting and want to just share that, cool, because people are going to know when you are not enjoying yourself, and it's going to be real apparent, and it's not going to build a community, it's not going to be what you want. And then I see a lot of people dive, both feet in, spend all this money, and then when they don't have the numbers they want, they quit streaming, and then they're like, this is bullshit, why didn't anyone tell me? It's like, we did, but you didn't listen. So before you buy anything, before you even start streaming, sit down and really think about why you want to do this and what is your plan if it doesn't go the way you expect it to.
I always think about the panel that you do. Oh, sorry. I think about the panel that you do about this, where it actually breaks down the cost of essentially even basic equipment for streaming, and people who immediately enter that thinking they're going to immediately make back on that investment. And it's like, no.
No, I mean, sponsorships and other stuff aside, which has taken me most of that 8 years to get, I've put out a lot more money into streaming than I've ever made back. And this isn't like, oh, don't go stream. It's really put some thought into why you want to do it. And be okay with, you may get 1 or 2 viewers that first week, that first month. But if you're having fun enjoying it, to me, it can only improve from there because people can tell you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I can barely add to what y'all have said. My main thing is, especially as one of the co-hosts for this panel, is that I would get in my head sometimes about like, oh, nobody invites me to things, and I'm never a part of anything. Create your own things if you can.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the capability to do it. It's fairly easy to do some stuff like on Canva and like a lot of like apps and situations where you can fairly easily do things and put stuff together and try to get like a couple of your friends and do a multiplayer moment and tag the company that makes the game and all that stuff. Like, and also there's a lot of free games out there that you can enjoy, a lot of companies that do like giveaways every once in a while. So like, don't feel like you have to spend all of the money, don't feel like you have to do all of the events and all of the things. And especially if you're getting started, or if you're at like you got affiliate and you're starting to get opportunities and stuff like that, don't say yes to everything just cause or because you want to look cool and whatever. Like, even I need to hear this myself, like, and a lot of this advice I'm sure we all need to hear ourselves sometimes and remind ourselves of these things, because I just we just have to remind ourselves of those things. Like, you don't have to look cool. You want to look cool for what? Like, no, like remind yourself of why you got started streaming, and then go from there and have fun with that. And yeah, make your own stuff like we did with this panel. And yeah, that was Do What You Want, the thrill of variety streaming. Before we go, everyone, feel free to do a little self-promo moment and talk about maybe anything that you have coming up before we go. My name is Project Ruby. You can find me at Project Ruby on most platforms. I am a variety streamer. I will say it. I don't care anymore. You will find me doing a plethora of things, from JRPGs, platformers, nostalgic, retros, and new games, and indies, and AAAs. Whatever I'm in the mood for, I will be doing it, and you can't stop me. Anyway.
I love that.
Miss Passion.
Yeah, hi, I'm Passion, otherwise known as Passion's Planet. I'm a trans Y2K variety streamer. Funny said it.
We can all say it now at the end. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
but we have to give you a sub. That's the bad part.
No
Um,
hands.
I play a plethora of games ranging from anything licensed, anything on PS2, GameCube. Sometimes I dip into new. We're currently playing for The Quarry. And I just have fun as I've been reinstating throughout this. Next week, I'm doing a super sexy drag/DJ situation extravaganza that I usually do every single Pride month, end of June words. And yeah, you can catch me Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And if you are UK, you can catch me Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays because I stream 1:30 a.m. Woo! On to you, whoever. Cypher?
You can come find me over at Cypher of Tears, CYPHEROFTYR. Thursdays, 6 p.m. Central, you can find me on Black Dice Society over on twitch.tv/DND. So if you like D&D with a bit of horror in it, I'm over there. Then on Sundays, I'm on Rivals of Waterdeep with Brian. And then on my own channel, you might find me one day putting together Lego, painting a mini, and at some point I will actually get back to 3D printing again. And or making dice. I don't know. It depends on what I feel like and if it's 1,000,000,000 degrees outside. But yeah, Cypher Terror on the internets.
Brian?
Hi, I'm Brian, and I'm a variety streamer. Oh, it feels good to say that. Whew, okay, yeah, there we go. But yeah, you can find me online as Urban Bohemian pretty much everywhere, and I do stream a few days a week on Twitch. I do actually all kinds of games. We've had a lot of indies come out and a lot of demos, so you're going to find me playing demos of like, I mean, we had like hundreds of them recently come out. So there's going to be a lot of time spent playing demos. Every Sunday we do dip into Animal Crossing. Sorry, Ben. And on Sundays, you can also find me over on Rivals of Waterdeep, twitch.tv/Rivals of Waterdeep at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's a long-running actual play D&D show, as mentioned by Tanya. And yeah, you'll find me playing games. You'll find me in the kitchen. You'll find me on the couch. You'll find me talking about brunch, all those things.
Wonderful. Donut?
Well, I like that. I'm Donut.
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 Record that and invoice for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm Donut Tart. I am a drag artist, and I do a lot of like hosting, and I want to say producing now because I do a lot of events. And before my hiatus, I would be doing a lot of bake-off events and things like that. And going back into streaming, you can find me Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, hopefully, kind of all over the place. I try and play the new games when they're out. I try and do baking. I try and do all that. But the things that I'm actually doing and actually working towards is hosting and presenting. And I'm going to be at TwitchCon Amsterdam in a month from now. And I'll be hosting the drag showcase on the main stage, a baking workshop, and a drag panel. So that's what I'm doing because I'm still a variety streamer with a lot of baggage elsewhere in Amsterdam. In Amsterdam. I'm trying to change up my intro, okay? And I'm a variety streamer.
Okay.
Not
Crazy.
the baggage.
I'm a variety streamer. I'm sorry.
And we're all just kind of coming down and like treating this as an AA meeting. Very interesting developments here. It was an intervention after all, which, you know, we're still on time. So Ben, it's your turn. So
Hi, I'm also Donut Tart, and you can...
Oh my god, it all makes sense now. Oh my god. Okay.
No, my name is Ben, Ready Set Ben. You can find me on Twitch with Ready Set Ben on pretty much every other social media platform as well. I am also a variety streamer Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, Saturdays, and or Sundays. And yeah, I'll also be at TwitchCon. So if y'all are there, please don't talk to me. Stay away.
Wow. So I'm going to remember this guy.
No, like I mean, like mutuals.
At least
yeah,
it's honest.
Ambassador.
At least it's
I know.
honest, you know?
Ambassador.
Mutuals, great. Everybody else, deodorant.
It's time to go. Goodbye.
wow.
And that's it. Good night, everybody.
I would say cut the cameras, but we're doing it, so you know we're doing the outro already. Yeah, thank you so much for watching this wonderful panel. Do what you want, the thrill of variety streaming. Make sure to tune in tomorrow, same time on Passion's channel, for a lovely panel on finding our identity, which is called Be Who I Want to Be, Finding Identity Through Gaming. So yeah, we'll see you then. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, happy Pride. Bye.